This is another two-part question because it's two individuals.
I need to get more pay for this.
I got to give you the pen and the paper next time.
Man.
Sadlowski has been big for the Komets in this series. Secondarily, Josh Britton has been physically big because we've seen him last year. How big a problem is Britton for the Komets? Because he's one of those guys you'd rather have him on your team, given his size and the fact that he can bang. And obviously we saw him with some call-ups last year here in Fort Wayne. And also, how impressed are you with what Sadlowski's been able to do, and how has he been able to do it? I've got a million things to talk about.
Man, I'm telling you. Okay, first thing, Britton is a physical factor. Part of that was the matchup, though. When he was out there against Southorn and Pepin, the Komets defenseman, in the first game, he was not as much of a factor because Pepin stood him up a couple times, and then that was like, whoa, okay, I don't know if I'm going in there that hard again, okay? Second game, too, he was up against a different defensive pairing, and he was able to manhandle him a little bit more. I think what will happen is you'll put Peps against him again, and that'll take care of that. I mean, because Peps is much more physically able to match up with him and handle him. I mean, that's like two dinosaurs going at it that way. But Peps is really good with that. Okay, Sadlowski, and he'll be the first one to tell you this, he got the goals. It was all off of hard work of his line mates. Mike Embach really hustled at the end of game one to chip the puck past his guy up along the boards, so it's created the opportunity for Sadlowski. And then he knocked the defenseman down, or the guy tripped, fell out a shoestring, whatever. Look at it, and you guys decide. You know, I mean, how did the guy go down that easy is what you got to wonder, too, sometimes. But that created the opening for him to get that shot, okay? And it was great play by Embach. Same thing in game two. Aaron Clark created the turnover, and I don't know how he didn't get the assist, because he made the turnover right outside the blue line, popped it right to Sadlowski, who got it at the blue line, and all of a sudden the Reading defense are on their heels, and they're backing up because he's charging in, and he just gathered and fired. I mean, so both of those were great plays by his teammates, and he took advantage. I'm not trying to discredit Sean at all. They were great shots. But he would be the guy to tell you it was everybody. It wasn't just him.
One of the articles that you wrote, I think it's in today's paper, was about, and the Royals noticed this, the defense of the Komets has really become a unit and really become a force. As they mentioned, you know, this is an offensive team before the playoffs, or really before the last month, and they've cranked it up defensively. How have they been able to do it?
Well, regular season ends, and then you don't have to worry about, did I get my 30 goals yet? Did I get did I reach my bonus money? You had a bunch of guys going for 30 goals, okay? And maybe they were a little selfish looking for more shots. This weekend, I saw the Komets really playing as five-man units, really playing as a team. Great puck support, great, just really, really doing the system the way they're supposed to. Everybody sacrificing, everybody challenging defensively. Like I wrote about it, this was two games where you were moving the puck in 10-foot increments. You were not doing, I'm going to hit the guy from blue line to blue line. That was never going to happen. It was all, okay, I've carried it this far, and now it's your turn to carry it the next 10 yards. It was like football in territorial possession. It really was. It was like flipping field position in football. It was very physical. It was very defensive, challenging. It was like the defensemen were, building the lines at the blue line, and like, we're not backing up. You got to go through us somehow, type of thing. So it was very much like that.
Given all of that, how do you see this series playing out? Because the Komets have a prime opportunity. I know they haven't been great at home this year.
They've only won 3 games in a row at home once all year. The last 3 games.
But those are the most recent 3 games.
I understand that. I'm just giving that out there.
Have. So how do they?
And Evansville and Toledo were not exactly Reading.
They're not. No, by no means are they. But that has to give them some confidence.
But these Komets were not playing like this in the regular season either.
Right.
I mean, I think they got a chance. I really do. I think that's what I was impressed with Saturday night after the game is the guys were ticked off. I mean, they were like, dang it, we had it. We could have had him right there. They could have buried him. I felt like they knew they missed a chance. And you don't get many chances against a good playoff team, especially a defending champion. You got to wonder, did they wake the beast a little bit in Reading, and can they match that intensity now? And they've got to be the ones to initiate on home ice. They can't sit back. They've got to be the ones to initiate and see how the Royals react, like they did in Game 1, and use that speed. It'll be interesting. It really will be, because and here's another thing. I don't know if anybody's going to score a power play goal in this series. Just about, I know Reading got the one, but these 2 penalty kills are so good, and everybody knows it. And it's like they're not real sure what the referees are going to call. And that's not a criticism of the officials at all. They're letting them play, and what's happening is the players are still trying to figure it out a little bit. So it's much more aggressive, and it's like, well, we're going to see what they're going to call rather than we're going to force them to make a call versus, well, we'll see. I don't want to do anything in case he's going to make that call. That's not the way this is playing out at all.
So here's my final question. A week ago, when we were talking a week ago on Monday, do you feel better about the Komets' chances at winning this series and advancing in the playoffs than you did 7 days ago?
Yeah, I said I picked Reading in 6 games. I really believe we're going back to Pennsylvania come Monday. I don't know that the Komets can win 3 in a row at home, but I think there's a better chance now than I did before the series. Meisner's playing that well, and, they haven't gotten a lot out of, I want to say this correctly, okay? They haven't gotten a lot of points out of the Marino, Fleming, and Auger line yet. They've played well, though. I'm not knocking them in any way. It's been the matchups. You got Bryant Molly and Brett Fleming for Reading. They're 2 best defensive pairs going against them, with Ethan Cox at center, who's a great defensive center. Well, now the Komets get the last change, and they can put those 3 out there against whomever they want. That's going to be really interesting to see how that happens, and see if those 3 can really open it up and get some offense going. They played very well defensively. I think they've got 1 point so far, which was the shorthanded goal by Mbach. It's going to be fascinating. It's fun to watch the chess match between these 2 coaches and see, because you can, if you watch the line pairings and stuff, and you can see some things that are changing and stuff.
You give Gary Graham some time.
Oh, big time. And
nobody analyzes video.
His scouting report for Game 1 was just picture perfect. And the guys just, it was 18-4 shots at one point. It's like they were just flying, and Reading's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do next, And the Komets really looked good in that game. And he called exactly what would happen for the second game, that, they'd come out that first 10 minutes, they're going to try to squish our defensemen like flies against the windshield, and that's exactly what happened. And then they made some adjustments in the second period, and the Komets dominated that second period.
Well, hopefully they'll have that bug-eyed look after the first period.
It's been fun to watch.
Week.
These were my 2 favorite games of the year. The intensity was great. The hitting was great. I liked the way the referees let them play. And they were, there was a couple of questionable things that could have been called. I liked that they let them go. It was very, very entertaining hockey.
All right, and we strive to be entertaining here on Inside the Zone. Hopefully we can do the same next Monday as the Komets look to take a couple games. They got 3 here at home against Reading with a prime opportunity to unseat the Kelly Cup champs. For Blake, I'm Glenn. We'll see you then.